At its height, the Museum of Modern Art had around 200,000 pieces of art in its collection, but only about 3 to 4% of it was on display at any given time. So, like, why? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? I was talking to my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, my dead boyfriend, Francisco. I was talking to him about this because he worked in PR for the tech company that owns the foundation, that owns the Museum of Modern Art, that archives the Museum of Modern Art's collection. And he was telling me that, I guess, before they started shutting down MoMA in the late 20s, they had archived about half of the collection. So about 100,000 pieces of art had already been digitally archived. And by the time the foundation took over the museum and started shutting it down seriously, they accelerated the pace of digital archiving. And I guess that they ultimately got to around like 92% of the entire collection had been digitally archived. So that's pretty good. But here's the thing, though. If you go to the Museum of Modern Art, only around 11% of the historic collection can actually be accessed in the digital interactive displays that they have at the museum. And so I was telling Francisco, I was like, well, where's the rest of it? And he goes, oh, well, if you go to the MoMA website, you can see about 30% of it. Okay. But that's, 60,000 pieces of art, which is great. But they had archived 180,000, maybe more, pieces of art. So where's all of that art? How do you access it? And he goes, oh, no, it's stored in a data center. I'm like, dude, I know how this works. I know it's stored in a data center, but how do people access it? And he goes, why would people want to access it? Because I guess back in the day, back when MoMA was 6 floors tall in that Midtown building, I guess it would take people like a day to do the whole museum, maybe more. I guess most people just didn't even do the whole museum because it was too big. And so that was just a tiny fraction of it. How are people going to sort through 180,000 pieces of art? Who would actually want to look at that much art? Who could have the time to look at that much art? And that's fair, but then I'm like, okay, but why digitally archive it at all? Why the space in the data center, And he goes, no, it's being used, but it's being used to train AI. Well, of course, I assume he means it's training AI models to create art. And he goes, no. It's being used to train art education. He says, back in the day, you take a child to the museum, they can see maybe 3% of all the art that MoMA had in its collection. But now, we can train children on the concepts against 180,000 pieces of art. Isn't that better? And I know the answer is no, but I don't know why.